demon city. Do not watch this alone. Do not listen to it alone. What you are about to hear is not just a story. It is a warning, a curse. There's a place hidden far from the world we know. A place that should never have been uncovered, yet it has been. It is a city, one shrouded in eternal darkness, its skyline twisted and broken, towering above the earth like the gnarled fingers of some ancient beast. The demon city, they call it. No one ever speaks of it for long. Those who attempt to tell its tale usually end up lost, their bodies never found. But you're here now listening. You should have stopped before you started. You should have turned away when you saw the title. You shouldn't be here. Before we go any further, subscribe to this channel. Make sure to hit the bell icon so you won't miss the rest of the story. But know this, what you're about to hear has consequences. Once you know it, once you understand it, you will never be alone again. It began years ago when a team of researchers, brilliant but foolish, set out to find the lost city, the one everyone had whispered about. Maps had been passed down through generations, and rumors had persisted for centuries. But no one who had gone searching for it had returned. Not one. Still they went. The researchers entered the uncharted territory, diving deep into the forgotten lands. 4 days they searched, uncovering nothing but desolate landscapes and empty silence. They camped under the starless sky, the wind howling as though it carried something sinister with it. On the 4th day they found it. The city. It wasn't just the size or the architecture that made it terrifying. It was the stillness. A chilling silence that seemed to hang in the air like smoke, pressing against their skin, weighing them down. The buildings were twisted, warped by time and the elements, their edges jagged and sharp, as though they had been carved by some malevolent force. The streets were cracked, the stone smooth and dark as if it had absorbed the nightmares of those who had walked it long ago. And then the shadows. At first, the researchers thought it was nothing, just the wind, the bending light, the play of shadows. But as they ventured deeper into the city, they began to see the figures. Faint, almost imperceptible at first, standing motionless in the corners of buildings, their eyes gleaming in the dark. As the sun dipped behind the horizon, the figures became clearer. Dark, shifting masses, twisted bodies that seemed to move without moving, shadows that reached, grasped, and tugged at the edges of their minds. And one by one the researchers started disappearing. No screams. No warning. Just gone. A few managed to escape, but those who did were never the same. Their eyes were hollow, their faces gaunt, and their bodies, horribly, terribly wrong. It was as if they had brought something back with them. Something that followed them, something that lived inside them. It clawed beneath their skin, twisting and pulling, always hungry, always watching. They were marked. Some say that the city wasn't just abandoned. It was cursed. The evil that resides in the heart of the demon city isn't content to stay there. It spreads like a sickness, infecting those who set foot in its cursed streets. And once it has touched you, once you've seen it, you can never escape. Follows you. Watches you. It listens to your every breath. And now you've listened to the story. Did you feel it? The presence that's grown behind you in the shadows of your room? The hair on your neck standing up as though something cold is breathing down your spine? You're not alone. You never were. Stay tuned for Chapter 2. You're already a part of this nightmare. You've heard it. You've summoned it. And now there's no going back. Do not stop here. If you value your sanity, if you want to remain unmarked, you'll hit subscribe. Because the nightmare doesn't end when the story does. It's only just begun. The price of knowing. You thought you could escape, didn't you? Thought that hearing the story would be enough to satisfy your curiosity, that it would end when the last word was spoken. But it never does. You've already invited something into your life and now it's awake. It's watching. And it won't leave until it has you. The demon city is not a place. It is a presence, a cursed thing that waits in the dark corners of the world, always watching, always listening. It lives in the shadows, just beyond your reach, and now that you've heard its tale, it has chosen you. It knows your name. It knows where you are. You may think you're safe, that the story is over, that it's just a thing of fiction. But you are wrong. It has already begun. That cold chill on the back of your neck, the whispering in the corners of your mind, it's not just the wind. It's the city. It's the demon. And it's coming for you. The first sign comes at night. You wake up to an oppressive silence, the kind that fills your ears and presses on your chest. The room feels wrong. Too still. You hear footsteps, slow and deliberate, pacing just beyond your door. But when you open it, there's nothing there. No one. Not even a shadow. Just the emptiness of your own home, which no longer feels like your home at all. But you feel it. The eyes watching you from the darkness, the unseen presence that seems to breathe with you, to move with you. It doesn't matter where you go, where you hide. The demon city is everywhere. It lives in your mind now. It has taken root, and the longer it stays, the harder it is to tell where the city ends and you begin. It follows you when you leave your house, its shadows crawling on the walls of every street, seeping into every reflection you pass. When you look into the mirrors, you see them. The twisted figures from the city, shifting and flickering in the glass, their eyes gleaming with hunger. When you turn away, they don't disappear. They only get closer. You begin to hear whispers. Not from anyone in the real world, but from the city. From the very walls around you. The faintest murmurs, too soft to understand, but they fill the air, becoming louder, more insistent, as if the city itself is trying to speak to you. You cannot silence them. You cannot escape them. In the dead of night, they come for you. The nightmare blurs with reality. You no longer know when you're awake and when you're dreaming. Your breath becomes ragged as the figures draw nearer, their dark shapes clawing at your mind, tearing through your thoughts. Your pulse quickens, but you can't move, can't scream. You're trapped. Trapped in the city's grip, just like those who came before you. There's no escape. And then, one night, you wake up to see them, standing at the foot of your bed. Their eyes are black pits, empty and endless, and their bodies are twisted, grotesque things. They move like shadows, but they are not shadows. They are real. They are alive. And they are waiting for you to see them. They step forward, one by one, crawling from the walls, emerging from the floor. Their whispers grow louder, a chorus of voices that fill your mind, drown out all other thoughts. They want you. They need you. You are no longer just a witness to the demon city. You are its new inhabitant, its newest victim. And they will never let you go. You can't run. You can't hide. You are in the city now, and the city is in you. The walls close in, the room warps and bends. The figures crowd around you, their cold hands reaching for you, their hollow eyes locked onto yours. Your breath catches in your throat, your heart pounds against your ribs, and as the darkness consumes you, you realize the horrifying truth. You've become a part of the story, and the story will never end. You are the demon city now. You'll hear it. You'll feel it. It will follow you wherever you go, a constant presence lurking in your mind, waiting for you to hear the whispers, to feel the shadows move. The city is not just a place. It is a curse. And now it's yours. So, you think the nightmare is over? It's not. Not by a long shot. You've heard the story. You've summoned it. And now it will never let you go. You can't escape. You can't run. Because the demon city knows you. And it knows what you did. It knows that you dared to listen. You dared to watch. And now it will never stop. It will never leave. Subscribe if you want to know what happens next. But I warn you, this is not a story you want to finish. It's not a story you should ever have started. You've made a mistake. And now the city is yours,